Morning,
Good morning.
Good day, good today,
good afternoon, and good evening, depending on what time you're watching.
and where you're
Middle of
watching.
the night if you can't sleep.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're a remedy for insomnia.
we can soon put you to sleep, don't you?
We can.
Yeah, good. Oh, well, what a week. We've just been hearing from Christy of you about the mini tornado that's still going on well, no, the tornado isn't still going on, but the repair to the village of Loaders and the school. And I drove through Loaders and I see half the thatch is off, but the wind had also taken nearly the tarpaulin off at one point.
Gosh.
Yeah, the poor old resident there. So they said that from their bedroom they can see daylight now.
Oh,
Yeah.
my word.
Went right through their roof. But hey ho, hopefully the insurance companies will kick in quite quickly and.
Yeah, well, Peter Nardone, the organist here at Beaminster, who lives in Loaders, as you know, Chris, he was telling me that 120 trees were blown down on his land.
Gosh, that's amazing. That's
But they had
Maybe stories get exaggerated, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what he told me. That when he had the tree fella, so to speak, come in, they thought it was 70, but the guy said he found others as well that had been damaged and blown down. About 120. Is there a small copse or something up there?
There is a copse, and a few trees did get blown up there.
Yeah, that's what he told me.
120 was not the number I've heard.
Yeah, that's what he told me on Sunday Monday. He played for a funeral for me, and he was telling me that it was costing him the earth to have them moved off somebody else's land because they've blown onto somebody else's land, and it's his responsibility to have them moved off his land, this land. Yeah,
there's been a bit of that. There's been like his trees falling onto his neighbour, and that neighbour's trees have fallen on their neighbour's trees, and then that neighbour's trees have fallen on the next neighbour up.
It's a domino effect.
So, yeah, well, perhaps the 120 trees in general, all of them, as opposed to just his. Perhaps I misunderstood him because Peter doesn't normally exaggerate.
Well, you get Chinese whispers. I mean, some of the stories I've heard in the Loaders Arms over a pint of beer of what happened are a long way from reality.
Well,
I think the further down the pint of beer people get, the exaggerated things get. Not that I've ever done that, of course, dear viewer.
No, definitely not. We would support that. Right, this Sunday is the last Sunday before we start Advent. It has a very posh title, doesn't it? The Feast of
the King.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the last. So it's the last Sunday of the liturgical year, and then we'll start again.
It is.
We will begin by saying Happy New Year.
Yes.
Next week we could. Yes, we could. Okay. Don't get too previous, though, Chris.
And next week, when it is Advent Sunday, we've got Bishop Stephen coming to Bridport.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, I know. We're looking forward to that.
We've got him coming in June.
Oh.
But I didn't realise when I agreed to the date that it's the weekend of the Beaminster Festival. So he'll be standing 4 foot in the air on a stage to do what he's got to do. High and elevated, you know.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
High and lifted up, yes.
That's right.
Yeah, well, that's good.
It's a bit like one of these things when you see the Pope at a major event, you know, when he's towering over everybody on the stage. So I shall make reference to that and see what he says.
You're not going to drive him around in an open-top car as well, are you?
No, we'll just stick him on the back of a trailer.
Grass.
Trailer and tractor will take you around. That's about our state.
Oh, that's good. That's fitting.
I get the people from Mosterton because they're very good at trailer and tractor activities, so that'll be good.
Sorry if I wasn't sitting still just now, but my little dog keeps pulling this thing.
What's on her? What is it, Chris?
Well, it's a toy. We call it Snakey.
Snaky.
Oh.
Very imaginative.
He loves playing tug with it.
So that's the little one, the sausage dog. What about old
Scruff?
Scruff.
Oh, Scruff's getting very, very old. He's recovering. He had a stroke 2 weeks ago, and he's sort of recovered, but he's got a bit more grumpy.
Oh.
A bit like me, really.
Yeah, so
I haven't had the stroke, but I'm just getting grumpy.
Yeah, that's it. So Scruff very much is a grumpy old man.
Yeah.
And Maisie's the one that's full of life.
That seems like, that sounds like the division here.
Yeah.
Two grumpy old men.
And Deb, who's full of life.
If only that were true.
Can we take her off, Chris? I think the point comes. You just cancel
put
her.
her back in the waiting room.
Freeze her. That's right, for punishment. Stand up
You're going to throw me into outer darkness.
Where the gnashing and wailing of teeth are there. Yes, well, you go there. Go stand up the corner with a duncy that had. Anything. You go. Right, I guess we ought to get on.
Yes, let's do
it. And someone's going to read when we've had a pause in a minute.
Yes, I'll read.
Thank you. Let's have a pause.
So our gospel reading is written in Matthew chapter 25, beginning to read at verse 31. When the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, then he will sit on the throne of his glory. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate people one from another, as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he will put the sheep at his right hand and the goats at the left. Then the king will say to those on his right hand, "Come, you that are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you took care of me. I was in prison, and you visited me." Then the righteous will answer him, "Lord, when was it that we saw you hungry and gave you food, or thirsty and gave you something to drink? And when was it that we saw you a stranger and welcomed you, or naked and gave you clothing? And when was it that we saw you sick or in prison and visited you?" And the king will answer them, "Truly I tell you, just as you did it to one of the least of these, who are members of my family, you did it to me." Then he will say to those at his left, "You that are accursed, depart from me into the eternal fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me no food. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not welcome me. Naked, and you did not give me clothing. Sick and in prison, and you did not visit me." Then they also will answer, "Lord, when was it that we saw you hungry or thirsty, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not take care of you?" Then he will answer them, "Truly I tell you, just as you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me." And these will go away into eternal punishment, but the righteous into eternal life. What a wonderful reading.
It's always a good lesson on we love everybody.
Yeah.
We don't decide who we're nice to.
Yeah, and I've heard this so many times, and I'm sure you two have as well, but not just the things that I've done, but things that other people have done, things that are so insignificant to the people that are doing them, they can make a huge impact on people, especially if things are tough and somebody does even the smallest kindness, it can make all the difference. So the way that we treat each other, it can be amplified over and over for the person who is receiving kindness or a visit or whatever it is, even a smile. I think it's a great reading.
I think so. And like you say, never forget the little things. You do something and you just come home and there's a message on the answer phone.
Yeah.
Say, "Oh, thank you for doing that." And, you're only doing what you do. like a funeral or a wedding or a church service or something.
Yeah.
And somebody... Also, the same is true when you get negative comments. They can be quite destructive and amplified.
They can, yeah.
But we can choose how we treat other people. And this is a good this passage is a really good reminder that absolutely everybody you speak to could be talking to Jesus, or we behave as if we are.
Yeah.
We look after everybody, and this idea of judging other people, or I'm better than you are, I think actually, even if you stick that on the world stage at the moment, that's the cause of some of the big wars, isn't it? It's I'm superior, I'm better than you, therefore I'm going to be unpleasant and go to war or whatever. You know, I don't want to get political, but if somebody's thirsty, we give them a drink.
Yeah.
You know, but you've got to know they're thirsty. You know, there's no point in giving them a... Shall I use a cream cracker? Because they dry out your mouth, don't we? You know, if somebody's really thirsty, you don't give them a cream cracker.
No.
David, you're speechless.
I'm just listening to the deep theological meaning behind the cream cracker. But yes, you know what you mean, Chris. That's good. I mean, it's interesting because yesterday, as ever, I was at the school at Mapperton for their collective worship in the afternoon. And Joe and I, this whole term, have been reteaching them, as we do about every 2 or 3 years, about the Lord's Prayer and what it actually means, the various statements. And we've got to deliver us from evil. So I asked them if they knew what evil was. And children are very perceptive, aren't they, about what they understand about right or wrong or good or bad or whatever. And they would tell me about evil and things. And I asked them where is there anywhere in the world we're seeing evil today? And of course, the obvious answers came out, yes, in Ukraine and Russia or Israel and whatever. And last week we talked about temptations, and I'd asked them about what do they think Jesus would say about being tempted. And one little girl had said you'd stand up and say, stop it. You don't do it. So I asked them the same question. I said, last week, this is what you said. What do you think Jesus is going to say today about all this killing and fighting in the world and whatever? And they were very good in the way they approached. But I said, the thing about doing all this is that ultimately God can be asked to forgive for things that we know we're doing that are wrong, however bad they are. We can still... And we eventually got around to the point with them of saying, it's all right asking for forgiveness, but you've actually got to mean it, haven't you? And that's part of what all this is about. How much do we do wrong? But when we turn to God, do we actually do it with sincerity or truth and really want to honour what's been going on or what we've been doing that is wrong? And what I like about this Christ the King period is the actual reading we're not reading today, which is the Ephesians reading, because it says everything about what the festival of Christ the King is really about. On the third day, God will bring Jesus back, risen, into this new kingly state, to be there and to oversee all that is going on. And if we're not careful, we tend to over or not view enough what the kingship of Christ is about.
Yeah. I guess why I like this reading is that it kind of, anyone can do it. It's saying that, the king in the story is saying that, what you did to the least of my family, how you live your life makes a difference. And I receive all of those benefits when you do it for the least of you. I just think, and I wrote something for the Pew Sheet this week and about this reading, and because the thing about it is you you could get smug and think, well, I'm a sheep, so yeah, I'm fine. But I think sometimes we're all goats and sometimes we're sheep. You do, every day you make the decision, don't you, whether you're going to live. Sometimes all of us are goats, I think. But there's always another opportunity to do the right thing and to see Christ in the faces of the people that we come across. When I did a placement at Helen House, a hospice, years and years ago, when I was training for ordination, and Frances Dominica, who was the woman, the sister who set that children's hospice up, she said once that she was in the kitchen and she was doing the washing up with this man, and he was a parent of a child that was terminally ill, and they were just talking. It was an ordinary conversation, and he was just talking about his struggles, but how he kept going. And she said, and when I was talking to him, I suddenly saw him. I saw the face of Christ in him. And I think really that's what this reading is being able to see Jesus in our midst, in the people that we work with, even the people we sometimes find difficult, or not always thinking that we're right about everything, but just accepting people and treating them well. And hopefully we also get that from our neighbours. That's why I love this reading. It's like a gospel for the people, really.
Yeah. I always wondered why he chose goats to be bad and sheep to be good.
Yeah.
Because as you quite rightly say, that the goat and the sheep in all of us, isn't there? So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Goats seem a bit more knowing than sheep, don't they? I don't know if that's.
I don't come across many goats, but I'll go for the farm up in Drimpton that milks 800 a day. I'll go and have a look around them and see if I can notice anything.
Their beards, they're different. Their tails are different.
Yeah.
Ears are different.
Their cheese is different.
Their cheese is different.
But why choose them to be bad and the others to be good? That's what I want to know, Chris.
The sheep tend to flock together, and they're quite shy and aloof, whereas goats are much more curious and aggressive and inquisitive. So the goat will go up and have a look at something and inquire and get completely lost, whereas the sheep will be scared and stay away and stay with its friends, stay with its other sheep.
There we are.
Is that a lesson to us? Does that mean we shouldn't be curious?
A farming theological approach to this, Chris. I do like it. No, you're right. You're right, Deb. It has such a powerful meaning, doesn't it, for all of us?
Mm.
I mean, yeah, and it's almost a case, actually, I think sometimes if we're only being sheep without the goat in us, we're being a bit too conservative.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I've got lots of goat in me, I'm afraid, Chris. Yeah. I don't know what that quite makes me.
Stop eating that cheese.
Yeah.
But I can't remember what it stands for, but there is that acronym GOAT, greatest of all time. Because I saw this thing on online, and I think it was Meryl Streep, and she was really complaining that all the cast kept referring to her as the GOAT, and she thought that they were disrespecting her. And then they said, "Didn't you know that's what it stands for? Greatest of all time." So
there was a footballer who played for Manchester City a few years ago called Sean Goater.
Oh, Goater, yeah.
And the crowd, he scored lots of goals for them when it happened. And the crowd used to sing, "Feed the goat and he will score." So there we are. so there we are.
Hey, could that be applied to us? Feed your goat and he will help you evangelize the world.
Yeah, save the world. That's right. Yeah. I think you have to be very careful there. Perhaps I've been fed too much, and that's the problem. But there we are. No, good reading. end of the liturgical year, as you I said earlier.
Yeah.
But an opportunity. I mean, the thing about these last 4 or 5 weeks, this kingdom season, whatever we've called it, all of the readings as we've gone through them, whether it be the wise virgins and etc., they've all been asking us to look towards end times, haven't they?
Yeah.
So that next week we start off with Advent, starting to work towards, the birth of the Saviour of the world, which is, Christ, and as you said, then start all over again, trying to see Christ in others all around us.
Yeah. Yeah. There's been a lot of kingdom talk, and that's good. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. There we are.
Do you find kingdom is different this year by the fact that we've got a king on the throne rather than a queen?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because I remember saying before, thinking of kings is weird, but I'm still getting used to the fact that there is a king rather than a queen. It is sinking in little by little.
Mm.
I remember once many years ago, perhaps at the theological college even, and it carries on, that for some people talking about the kingdom, they don't like it because it suggests all this male-dominated area. Mm. And I remember when I was a curate, and then afterwards I was in Lichfield Diocese, the bishop's big plan, as we're now going through ourselves with Bishop Stephen's new vision, their statement was growing the kingdom. A lot of people really found it, we can't do this, it's offensive, and I just didn't understand it at the time. I just thought he meant growing people to follow Jesus, who we do recognise as king. But for some, it was quite a thing they couldn't cope with or didn't like. But I don't really know. I've never had a problem. But then perhaps that's because I'm male. I don't have a problem with the understanding of kingdom or what kings are. Perhaps I just don't understand anyway.
It's probably. I think that's one of the good things about the fact that there are many ways that people see Jesus, as servant or, the shepherd or whatever. Yeah. And so I think people gravitate. I think we all need to think about all of them, but people do gravitate to things that they find easy. But maybe it is good to look in a different way, to look like other people, with the eyes of others. Yeah,
absolutely, Debs. I mean, I didn't understand it. I'm beginning to understand more. It's exactly what you've said. That Jesus is everything to us. He's everything, isn't he? He is the shepherd. He is the Lord. He is the great hope of love and humanity and save and being able to save a world that is so often torn apart by the hatred of, and I do use the word man in this case unadvisedly, because it usually is men who start wars and killings and stuff. And so we see Christ as king, as being the one that can hopefully bring an end to all of this nonsense and hatred, but brings peace into our lives.
Yeah.
There we are. A busy week, I'm sure.
Well, so we'll see you in the new year next week.
Yeah.
Or we'll just be we'll be talking about the new year at least.
And yes. David might have unfrozen by the new year.
Oh, yes.
One never knows. One never knows.
Well, take care, all of you, and everyone else as well.
Yeah, and God bless. And you know where to find us on all these social media channels, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. There we are. Good to see you. Thanks for watching. Do let us know any comments, thoughts. We keep asking. Some people do. We're always happy to try and accept, and answer. Good to have contact. Yeah. So see you all again next week.
See you then. Take care.